Hey, 7th grade math. Today we're going to do a lesson on composite figures. A composite figure is a figure that is made up of more than one figure kind of put together. That's most of the figures we deal with in our lives are figures that are put together. You can see there's an example of a composite figure here on the right here. That is a rectangle and a half a circle. So we're going to find both the perimeter, the distance around it, and the area, what fills it up. So first, let's find the perimeter of this composite figure. To do this, in all of these, when I'm dealing with composite figures, I like to take the time to plan. People always ask, do I have to plan? The answer is yes. If you plan out what you're going to do, you're definitely going to be more successful. So what is my plan? I'm going to make my plan super simple. First thing I'm going to do is going to find these three sides and then add them to half the circle. Now, this is a plan that I understand. Your plan can be more specific, but I also want to write down what formulas I'm going to use. For the three flat sides, I'm just going to add those together. I don't need a formula. For that semicircle, I'm going to use the circumference formula, pi d, and then divide that by 2 because that's only half of the formula that I need. Okay, so let's actually calculate this out, right? So as I looked at, there are some dimensions I need that aren't listed there. First, in a rectangle, the other sides are exactly the same. Second, that other side of the rectangle ends up being the diameter. So my diameter is equal to 9. All right, so here we go. First, the three sides is 12 plus 9 plus 12, that adds up to 33. Now I'm going to use this little circumference, so it's pi times 9 divided by 2. Now I don't know off the top of my head, so I'm going to go here, and I'm going to go pi times 9, take that answer, divide it by 2. I get 14.137, which if we're rounding to the nearest 10 is equal to 14.1 centimeters. So I'm going to take my 33, add it to 14.1. My answer is 47.1 centimeters. Okay, so we made a plan. We found out what formulas we needed for our plan, and then we executed that plan with those formulas. And that's what we're going to do also when it comes to area. Now our area formulas, but it's the same idea. It's, we're gonna just use a little bit different formulas. So I'm going to find the area of that rectangle, and I'm going to add it to the area of that semicircle. So the formula for rectangle is length times width, and I'm going to add that to the formula of the semicircle. So that's pi r squared. That's the entire circle, but again, only 1/2 of it, so I'll divide it by 2. Well, we already have the length and the width for the rectangle, but this being over here, that is again a diameter is a 9. But if I look at my formula, I don't need 9 as a diameter. What I need is my radius, which is half of that, or 4.5. Okay. When we're doing this formula, first let's do the length times width. So I had 9 times 12. 9 times 12 is 108. In the second one, I'm going to do pi times my radius, 4.5 squared, divided by 2. Okay, so going to my calculator. Remember, order of operations says we have to do 4.5 squared first times pi. That gives us 63.6. Take that answer, divide it by 2, 31.80, which I'm going to leave at 31.8. So 108 plus 31.8. My final answer is 141.8. Always adding my units since it's area, that is centimeters squared. Moving on to our next composite figure. What shapes do you see that make up that figure? Well, when I'm dealing with perimeter, I see all 1, 2, 3, 4 sides. So my plan is I'm going to take those 1, 2, 3, 4 sides and add it to my quarter circle. So it's 4 sides. I don't need a formula, but the quarter circle, I'm using the circumference formula, pi times diameter, quarter circle, I'm going to then divide by, yes, we divide by 4, so it's only a quarter of the circle. This one is a bit tricky because there are some dimensions we don't have, all right? We know those two are 11. This is a radius of 6. That's a radius of 6, so good to know that. Now, another one we need to know is this area right up here. And they're both the same, okay? If you can imagine, from here to here is 11, right? And from here to here is the same radius, is 6, so that has to be 5. So those little two areas are 5, okay? So when I calculate my perimeter to go around, I'm getting 5 plus 11 plus 11 plus 5. Those are all the squared off straight pieces. So 22, that is 32 total. Then I'm going to add pi. And I need my diameter. The radius is 6. Diameter is always double the radius. So that's times 12. Only a little chunk, only a quarter of that circle, so I'll divide it by 4 so I can get the quarter circumference. Going to the calculator here again. There goes 12 times pi. Take that answer, divide it by 4. That comes out to 9.42. So we'll add that to 9.4. So my total is 41.4, and our units are centimeters. Okay, plan it out. Make sure you're using the right formulas. Make sure you have all the pieces of the formula that you need. Okay, and again, this is the plan. I'm going to do this one a little different this time. I'm going to mark up my figure. I don't have a formula for an L shape, but I can split this into 3. So A, B, and C. So here's my plan. Area of A plus the area of B plus the area of C. All right, that's okay. Now I'm going to write the formulas. A is a rectangle, so I'm going to do length times width. B is also a little rectangle, length times width. C is a quarter circle, so that's the area formula for a circle, pi r squared. Since it's only a quarter, I divide that by 4. Okay, going back to my shape to say, do I have length and width of all these things? Okay, well, we talked about if this is 6 here, this first pink line that I drew has to be a 5, and that one is a 6. Excuse me, because that is the same radius. Okay, so for area B, I got it. And if that is 6, this is also 5 right there, because 5 plus 6 is equal to 11. So for rectangle A, I'm doing 11 times 5. That's 55. Rectangle B is 5 times 6. That's a dot. 30. Then the next one is pi. We know that our radius is 6 times 6 squared, divide by 4. And anytime I do area, I have to do 6 squared first, 36, times pi. So 113.08 was only a quarter circle. So what I got to do is I got to take that answer and divide it by 4. So that quarter circle comes to 28.27. The 7 rounds the 2 up, so that becomes plus 28.3. So 55 plus 30 is 85. 85 plus 28 is 113.3, and we're dealing with centimeters squared. Okay, so did a couple examples. In all the examples, we did the same thing. We made a plan. After we make that plan, we look at our plan and we say, okay, what formulas do I need to make that plan happen? Find the formulas. After you find the formulas, make sure you have the dimensions you need to make the formulas work. So if it's area and it's a circle, make sure you have the radius. If it's area and it's rectangles, make sure you know the length and the width of the rectangle. And it's not always just straight given to you. Sometimes you have to look at it and figure it out a little bit. Okay, so find those, then we plug it in and using our calculator to calculate. The time is best spent on making a plan, making sure you know which formula you're using, and make sure you have the dimensions for that formula. After that, it's really a plugging in thing, and it's really not too hard. Okay, so I want you to try for those top two. We are doing perimeter. Try those now. Go with the answer to number one. First, that bottom part of the circle is the diameter of the circle. That is 10 because 10 plus 6 has to equal down to this bottom side of the rectangle, 16. So the diameter of the circle is 16. So how am I going to find the perimeter? I'm going to do those 4 different sides plus the half of the circle. So the formula I need is the circumference, pi d, divided by 2 because it's only half. Okay, and we know that our diameter is 10. So the 4 sides went 7, 16, 7, 6, then pi times 10 divided by 2. Those added to 36. That semicircle is 15.7, so adding them together is 51.7. Okay, if you didn't have a chance to finish number 2, do that now. Okay, here we go with number 2. All right, it kind of looks like a track. I'm going to take those 2 flat sides, okay, and then the 2 curved sides. Well, those 2 half circles give me 1 complete circle. So the 2 flat sides, that would be easy. That complete circle is the circumference. That's pi times diameter. And we see that the length across there gives us the diameter of the circle. So I just use pi times diameter. So I have 8 plus 8 plus pi times 6. Pi times 6 is rounded to 18.8. 8 plus 8 is 16. Add them together, that is 34.8. All right. Next, you're going to do numbers, the same 2 problems, except now you're going to find, same 2 figures, now you're going to find the area. So make sure you're using pi r squared for the circle, all right, and length times width for the rectangles. So do the next 2 now. Here we go with area number 3, and again, that is a 10 centimeter diameter. So I'm going to find the area of, my plan is find the area of that rectangle and add it to the area of the half circle. So length times width for a rectangle, pi r squared is the circle, then divided by 2 because it's only half the circle. Okay, the diameter, I need the radius this time. So the diameter is 10, the radius is 5. So here I go. 17 times 6 plus pi times 5 squared, again divided by 2 because it's only half a circle. So 112 plus 39.3, you can round it to the nearest tenth, is 151.3 centimeters squared because we are dealing with area. All right, and finally number 4, that is the rectangle plus area of a circle. Length times width again for the rectangle, pi r squared for the circle. The radius is 3, the diameter is 6, radius is 3. Need radius to make that area formula work. Okay, 8 times 6 gives us the rectangle. Pi times 3 squared is our circle. 48 plus 28.3 gives us 76.3 centimeters cubed. That is our area. Make a plan, find the formulas, then plug it in. These are some of these problems that when you first look at them, sometimes they look very complex. Take your time, spend time making a plan. Okay, I look forward to seeing you guys all soon. Bye.